Yo yo, how's it going, my boys and girls? It is time to do the thing, the thing where we yeah. Well, I got Diamond 1. I'm shocked personally because this is the first time, but I'm really happy. So we're gonna, post the deck. We're gonna go ahead and go through some replays, and yeah, it should be a good time. A lot of replays. I'll post where we start the replays in the comments if you guys just want to skip to there. But for now, I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about the deck. So to get to Diamond 1, we used Spright Runick. It's very strong. It's probably not that different from many of the meta Spright Runick decks that you're going to see on the Master Duel website. But we're just going to go over the deck list just really quickly and talk about what each card does so I don't have to explain it in game. Alright, so Maxi lets you draw. This card's broken. Hand Trap lets you draw. You guys know this. Wind Up Kitten, not once per turn. Once while face up on the field, this card is a destruction, so or a spin, so you can spin a card back to the hand. And then you can resummon this card with like Elf, for example. Elf can resummon this card every turn, and you can also summon it with a Gigantic. So it's a searchable, resummonable pop that's not once per turn. Hyperia is your draw, so you draw one whenever this is summoned. Capshell lets you use this card to draw whenever you tribute it, or whenever you use it as a link monster, but don't use it as the XYZ. Just trust me on that. This won't let you get the effect, but if you use it as a link monster or as a tribute, like for example, your Sprite Carrot will tribute a card, so you'll get a draw one if you tribute Capshell. Okay, so Capshell is another draw one. Then Sprite Blue is your main starter. This card will be able to search any Sprite card. You'll usually be searching Sprite Jet. Sprite Jet will let you search another Trapper spell that's a Sprite card. You'll be able to search Sprite Smashers, and this card's pretty good. Also, you can search the starters so that you can start your entire engine all over again. And then Sprite Red is one monster negate, and Sprite Carrot is one spell trap. Alright, one monster negate for Sprite Red and spell trap negate for Sprite Carrot. Ash is just a hand trap negation. Usually it's meant for Max C. And then Called By is just another hand trap that is used for Max C or other negations, sometimes Ash. And then Crossout Designator is just so, it's like I said, for the hand traps. If they have any hand traps, we use this to stop Max C typically, but also Ash or Called By. So yeah, that's the main hand traps. And then the runic cards inside of this, we only have 2 fountain because we don't really need the runic engine as much, so the fountain isn't as important, but it's just another thing to have. We have 3 tip because the searchability of the runic cards for any kind of, like for example, destruction, negation, protection, that is really important. So having 3 tips is good. 3 destructions is really nice. So flashing fire is like a monster destruction, so that's really nice. Then this is a spell trap destruction. Freezing curses is a monster negation. Slumber is a protection for a monster. Smiting storm banishes as many cards there are for your opponent that your opponent controls, like the same amount that your opponent controls. And then dispelling is if your opponent adds a card, you can destroy one random card in their hand. Sprite starter is just like a search, so you start your engine with this card. And then smashers is your you can banish one non-targeting banish, so this is a searchable non-targeting banish. And then in the extra deck we run 3 Huggin. This is just to get the field spell out. Munin protects against evenly matched if you like see them going into the battle phase. Geary will recycle your fountain if they get destroyed. And then for your other monsters that you're going to be using for your link 2s or level 2s is Gin Buster. You can make with 2 dark monsters. It's 1 monster negate. Number 29 is an extender that lets you summon 1 card from their field, and also if they summon, you can summon another card. Gigantic Sprite is your main search, so this, whenever you get your 2 level 2s out, this is the main card you start into. This card lets you detach material and then search any level 2 to summon from your deck. And also after this, neither player can special summon besides for level 2, so that stops Nibiru. And then Masquerena is just a great card in this deck because it lets you go into any of your link monsters. Dark I haven't really had any use for, but it can be useful once it gets destroyed to summon or to search for Spright Blue, because you're allowed to search for any monster that's dark with less than 1500. Spright Elf is just your main monster, your main link monster. It'll recycle any monsters in the graveyard that are level 2, which is really, really useful. Nightmare Unicorn is just used to send any like annoying cards from the field. Whenever you have Masquerena on the board, you can just go into Unicorn and send a card. And then Underworld Goddess is used for the same way. So you can just tribute one monster that your opponent controls using Masquerena, and then you'll have a negation on the field, plus you'll have a big body. So very useful cards in the main deck. The main there's no really spicy tech at all, but this deck is really good. And then the overall game plan is kind of the same as just regular Runick. So you're just trying to deck people out. And I'm not going to go through like replays that I saved. I'm just going to go through literally all the replays that I have saved, like that I played recently. So you're going to see a lot of losses. But just keep in mind that this is one, I accidentally, like, my internet disconnected for like 1 or 2 of these games. And then 2, this is high diamond 1, so, or high diamond, so these games are pretty sweaty, and most of them, if I'm not mistaken, are against mirror matches. That's one of the games that I accidentally left, but like, for example, this game is against a mirror match, you know. I don't know if this deck is, but another mirror match. So this deck is really good. If you guys are looking to get into it, it's usually just because I made a mistake. If you guys want to see those, I can share them with you, but for now we're just going to go over how to win. So let's look at the deck. First one is a mirror match. Let's see if he has anything. This is the same deck as mine, except he isn't running Crossout. Crossout never even came up, but as soon as I threw it into the deck, I started seeing myself win 3 games for every 1 loss, which is really good in high diamond. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you don't win every game, and you definitely don't win every coin flip. So to win against the mirror match 3 times for every 1 loss is not bad. So we go first here. And also, I lost a lot of games because I went second, so either going second or going against Maxi can really fuck this deck up. But he doesn't have Maxi, so we're able to full combo. We're going into Gigantic, using our main engine. So remember, Sprite Jet's your main engine. And then I keep Slumber in case I want to use a card to get Fountain. So whenever I go into Gigantic, I summon Iperia because it's just another draw. And you saw in this game, I was able to add a Runick Tip because of Iperia. So I search Fountain, Fountain activates, then I summon Spright Elf so that I can research another card. I do Slumber so that I can get my draw 2 off of Fountain. And then I have another Fountain, and I have another Flashing Fire. I activate Starters so that I can have a Monster Negate. And then Carrot is a Spell Trap Negate. So I'm just trying to have as many different types of negates because I don't know who he is yet. And then I looked in his graveyard and I was like, well, he's me, so I need both Monster and Spell and Trap Negate. I took that out. I set both my Destruction and my Flashing Fire in case he somehow destroys my Fountain. And then I summon IP Masquerena. And then I summon IP Masquerena with red, but I'm planning on using Elf's effect to resummon red. So that's the reason that I did that. And I also have Max C, which is really it's just the cake on top. So he uses this to destroy. I chain 1. I summon this so that I can get my monster negation. Because this card's going to get destroyed anyways. And then chain 2 Masquerena so that I can use Spright Elf. So that I can use Spright Elf as material. And that means that the Runick Flashing Fires won't be able to banish any cards because the effect is negated. I summon Iperia so that I can get another draw because I don't have any Runick cards, and I draw into my Runick cards. So most of my Sprite engine is in my graveyard, or at least part of it is. So I'm expecting to only draw hand traps or Runick cards right now. So he summons. I realize that I need to get my monster destruction because the main way to beat Sprite is to stop them from having any bodies on the field. So if I can stop this summon, then that means that I won't have to deal with Sprite. So I use this to banish, just banish my starter because we're not going to use it anymore. and we're using Tip to get our monster destruction. We didn't even have to use Maxi, but we would have had a Maxi if he actually did special summon, because that was gonna be our chain 3. So yeah, that was that game. This deck is so toxic, by the way. You're gonna see. I mean, I mainly played against myself, but against most other matchups, it's like there's not much of a chance. The only deck that I really lost to was Exo Sister, and that was because they have like 3 banishes going if they go first. So they popped off on me by banishing like all 3 of my summons. But right now we don't have to worry about that. And also, like, if I were going first, like, there wouldn't be that problem. Also, I didn't read the cards, so I didn't know, like, if you summon from the graveyard, it lets them summon an XYZ monster. So it's just me not knowing the deck yet. But another game where they don't have Maxi. I know, cracked player from me. Go ahead, summon Gigantic. And I told you how I'm playing. I always do the same thing so I can get with my draw. I get Hyperia, so I can search, and I get another Runick card, which is great. Summon Spright Elf. Spright Elf will activate and resummon blue. This doesn't really matter, but my Runick Tip is going to go ahead and add another fountain. So what I'm hoping for here is that when I use these cards, I'll be able to get another draw 2, and those draw 2 will give me a monster to summon with blue. So that's the play that I'm going for. I activate Slumber, I banish, and then I use Fountain. Oh yeah, and also you'll notice that I have Lava Golem. I did have Lava Golem, but I never really had any good use for it. Like, it never won me a game or changed the tide of the game, so I decided to throw it out. And instead I put in, I think that's when I put in like 1 copy of, I'm not even sure. I think I threw in an extra copy of a Runick Destruction card. Something like that. So anyways, we got our other monster. We got our Cap Shell. We summoned, normal summon Cap Shell. Cap Shell's effect will let us add another card. So now, this board doesn't look great, but we have a Runick Tip, so we can search any Runick card. We have an Ash, we have a Maxi, and then if he even clears our board, we have a Lava Golem for the follow-up. And we also have Runick Fountain on the field, so we'll be able to draw 2 cards. He uses Destruction so that he can banish my starter. I just use starter so that I can get a spell trap negation, because I didn't know when I should use starter. I guess maybe in hindsight I should use starter before, but I didn't know if he was going to banish that card. He negates my monster effect, and I use Carrot. I use Elf, sorry, so that I can resummon Jet. And Jet's just going to let me research my starter again, or my Smashers, so I guess I grab Smashers here. Smashers is going to let me banish Fountain whenever it comes onto the field as a non-targeting banish. So he's banishing the top 8. He's banished quite a bit so far. We activate Fountain, or sorry, Tip, so that we can get a destruction. He destroys my Elf. That's fine because I'm getting my draw right now. He uses this to summon. I Ash and negate. He uses Pot of Duality, so now he cannot summon anymore. And this is kind of the point where I want to use Runick Destruction, because he can't summon to protect. He uses he uses Pot of Duality to search Pot of Desires, so that was kind of cracked. But also he's playing the mirror match, so the more he banishes, the more likely I am to win. Right now we're equal cards and he has to end turn. I go ahead, Runick Destruction, destroys Fountain, and he just gives up because it's the end phase. He can't set any other cards, so my Lava Golem, my Maxi would have been useless, but I have 2 level 2s on the board, so I could have resummoned Elf and then gone back into my combo. So yeah, that was that game. Another game against Demir. This is just pure Sprite. So pure Sprite right here. There's going to be a lot of repeat plays, so I'm trying to go through it kind of fast, while also giving you guys all the information. Sorry if I'm rushing through it, but hopefully you guys are getting it. If you're not following along, just try to like tune me out or turn me down, and then just follow along with what happens on the game, because I'll click most of the cards that activate, so you'll be able to know what happens. So I use Runick. I use this to summon Hugin. And then I discard personally another Runick card so that I can get my draw 3 this turn. I activate Fountain so that I can get my draw 3 once I get a monster that I want to use Slumber on. So I use my Sprite card to go into my engine. I search my monster negation because I don't want him to Nibiru me because I already summoned 4 times. So I use Jet to summon Get Starter, and then use these two. Make sure you're using these two, and not your Spright Red, because your Spright Red is going to be your monster negation. So activate, you get to summon again. Hyperia draws a card. I draw into my Spell Trap negate, which is kind of cracked. And then we get Sprite Elf. Sprite Elf will go ahead and resummon next turn. Well, okay, I used the red on the field as a link material, and I wanted red on the field, so I waited to use Elf's effect before Masquerina, like until after I summoned Masquerina, and then I used Elf's effect. But make sure you keep in mind that now, like, he could use some sort of monster effect, but he can't use Nibiru still because we already used our XYZ. So summon that, use Slumber to protect our elf, and then we get our draw 3. So this is kind of busted. We get a draw 3, that means we get max C. Like, imagine that, now we have a starter that we didn't even search for, and we have max C. So, and we also have 2 more Runick cards. So I instantly max C because I looked in his hand, and he has a lot of Sprite cards, but he tries to cross out me, so instantly I use this to negate a Spell Trap effect, and then that's game. So that's at least the board setup. If you guys needed help setting up the board, that's kind of a board you could go for. Even in a mirror match, there's just nothing for them to do. So that was that game. And then this is just a Sprite. This is a Sprite Evil Twins. I think this game was kind of close if I remember correctly, but I don't think it was that good. I think I just bricked at the beginning of the game, or he went first. Yeah, he went first. So I have an Ash. This isn't a bad hand, but it's not ideal, to be honest. He's got a monster negation already. He has starter in his hand. He gets his Spell Trap negation, and then he adds Jet. So he has all 4. Honestly, he has all of his Sprite cards on the field or in his hand, besides for the Smashers. So he goes XYZ, summon Gigantic, wondering who he's going to summon here, because I don't even know who he could summon. But I Ash, because if you Ash this summon, usually that means they can't go into like many more plays, but since he already had a red on the field, it didn't matter. At least it gets rid of 1 body on the field, and that body was a Spell Trap negation, so that's kind of nice. And I have, like, you know, two Spell Traps, so it's kind of nice for me. Then he summons this guy. This card was hell of annoying. That's the reason why I forgot. He had this card's like a floodgate. So he uses this card. First he used it to summon it on his side of the field. Then once it was linked off, its effect let him summon it to my side of the field. And it said that I can't not summon monsters. I cannot summon monsters with cards. This card. Wait, sorry. You cannot special summon except for link monsters with this card, okay? So he doesn't know who I am, so if I was like a fusion deck, for example, this would fuck me. And then also he used this effect to make sure that it wouldn't be destroyed by battle or card effect the first time that it would be. So now it can't be destroyed, but I still have all my Runick cards, so he really can't do much. Cosmic Cyclones me, that's fine, doesn't do anything. Just have a little bit less Runick gas, but that's okay. And then I summon Hyperia. He gets Smashers. But the thing about this play is that this is a level 2, so it helps me too. I don't know if he knew that the mirror match gets benefits because of this, so he gets rid of Hyperia. I still get my draw 1. But I just set... oh yeah, you cannot special. Like, you cannot special summon except for link monsters. So I couldn't summon Sprite Blue. But I'm just going to normal summon Sprite Blue next turn, so it's okay. I have 4 cards. I mean, his hand and deck is pretty much non-existent at this point. He goes back into Gigantic. Gigantic adds a card. Or draws a card. I called by on the Sprite Blue, so that his Sprite Blue won't be able to activate its effects. Alright, so keep that in mind. I think I fuck up because I accident. Well, it didn't really affect me. So he links off right here. He's gonna have another body on the field after he summons Sprite Elf. He goes ahead and he searches a starter, so now he'll be able to have 2 bodies. Activates starter. I dispelling because he added a card to the hand, but he activated Sprite starter right off rip, so nothing I can do about that. At least I get rid of his Ash, which is pretty useful, maybe. It could be soon. So he doesn't want to destroy this card because it's the level 2 that he's been, like, he really just, he wants to make sure I can't get into my extra deck. So I normal summon Sprite Blue, and then he goes into Carrot so that he can have a spell trap negation. And then I summon Elf. And then I get, since this card, like the Nightmare Corruptor only let you link summon, so I link summon into Elf, and then Elf will activate effect, and then resummon Sprite. But because I called by myself, Sprite's effect is negated, so I won't be able to search with Sprite. And then Gigantic will activate, searching another draw. Wind Up Kitten will be able to return a card to the hand, so I activate, sending Elf back to the hand. And then I use my last Runick card, but he negates it, so nothing I can do about that. Link these 2 back for Elf. I'm gonna need Elf next turn. So we're gonna activate Elf right away, and then we're gonna search our monster negation. I'm surprised I didn't do this here, but he goes for Elf. I didn't negate anything. I added my monster negation. He searched. I think he searched Sprite Blue not knowing that I had a monster negation. But I activate, and then he ends turn. So, I mean, I don't know why he ends turn here, but I guess he knew that once he activated this effect, I'd be able to negate. But the thing is, this is over because Gigantic Sprite is going to be able to activate its effect. I'll be able to resummon Sprite Blue, activate Sprite Blue effect, etc., etc. So, and I had a monster negate on the field, so Elf was useless. So that was that game. This is a Mathmech game. Mathmech is like almost irrelevant now that this deck has came onto the field. I mean, this deck is a lot like Mathmech, except the recursion is just insane. Like, you just need 2 monsters. That's it. That's all you need. And you start out with 5 cards, so like, yeah. So he goes first too. Mathmech going first. Remember, if you guys have seen my Labrynth videos, you'll know how much I hate Mathmech. But going first and he doesn't win, I mean, feels bad. So circular, summon, add Sigma, summon. He has backup secretary on the field. I never see that. But then he gets to resummon from the graveyard. He goes into Link Disciple. He links off his backup secretary for a Devotee, adding another card to his hand and then sending a card back, which lets him summon 2 tokens, which lets him go into a Link 2. And then he can link it off again into Masquerena. So now he has a Link 4 material, or 5, sorry. Then he goes again. He's got a Link 5. So he's got one interrupt. He's got like crazy interruptions right now. I won't lie. I don't know what this other card is, but he has 1 card that's going to destroy 3 cards. So I need to get my spell trap negation as fast as possible. And lo and behold, my spell trap negation's out on the field like it's nothing. So I normal summon Hyperia. Let's see what he does, because I still have a Runick card, so I'll be able to summon if he negates this. He doesn't negate it, thank the Lord. So then I get to special summon Carrot. So anytime that Factorial card activates, I'll be able to negate it. And then he tries to Masquerena so he can get rid of Carrot because he noticed it's a spell trap negation. But I have Slumber, so this is why Runick, in my opinion, Runick Sprite is better than just pure Runick, because, or sorry, better than pure Sprite, because pure Sprite would have no response here. But since I have the Runick cards as backup, not only do they bring out level 2s, but they also negate. So they have the negation. Negate that monster's effect. Special summon Blue. Blue activate effect. Get Jet. Jet activate effect. And he has pretty much no responses at this point. Like, there's nothing for him to do now. Because I have 4 bodies on the field. I'm ready to go into my Gigantic. I'm ready to go into my Elf. And then I'll be able to just keep swinging or pass and turn depending on what he does. Because at that point, I already know I have to destroy that card. Like, I'll be able to search my Runick Destruction in like a turn or two. So there was not a lot for him to do at that point. And then at this point, I think this is when I finally changed my deck ratios. So this is where it started getting kind of heated. He special summons a starter, a max C. I think after this game, sorry. So he max C's, I max C, and then he just sets 2 and passes. So now he has a banish one, I know that. I summon Wind Up Kitten, and he max C's me, but I have Ash in hand. So he goes ahead and he banishes my monster. That's okay, because this is the second reason why Runick Sprite is better than just pure Runick. Or sorry, I don't know why I keep saying that. Pure Sprite is worse than just Runick Sprite. So Runick Sprite is able to use these spells to summon multiple bodies. If you destroy the normal summon from pure Sprite deck, then you pretty much win. But here, since I have like 3 other spells I can summon a level 2, there's not a lot for him to do. So I summon Huggin, activate Huggin effect. I'll get a Fountain, and then activate. So he has a Runick Flashing Fire. So that's fine. I mean, there's nothing I can do. I guess I could have used my Slumber, but look at check this out. So he's negated 3 different things, and I'm gonna go ahead activate Fountain, and then this is the 3rd monster that I'm able to summon. Like pure Sprite would not be able to play through this, so I go ahead add a Huggin, and because I do this, I get to draw my cards from Fountain. That's a draw 3, and then guess what? I have my Sprite engine already, so I can summon Sprite Blue, and then I can go into my Sprite effects. So that was just like a pure Runick game where I had like 1 Sprite monster and I was still able to go into the full combo. And then I started losing a little bit because this is about when I got to Diamond 2. These games started getting like crazy sweaty. So another Mathmech game. And then one of these games I just accidentally left. So I lost, I think, like 3 games in Diamond 2, and then I lost like 2 games in Diamond 3. And then I haven't even played in Diamond 1 yet. So I'm probably gonna play a couple games and see how it goes. But yeah, these were like back-to-back games, all in Diamond 2 right now. So I summoned this, let me activate effect. Activating effect let me draw Carrot, which was cracked because Carrot's a spell trap negate. I go ahead and add my Fountain because I have called by, so I was fine with doing this. Activate Fountain. Fountain will let me summon. Well, no, it won't let me summon, but I summon Huggin with it. And then I don't know why I would activate I would, in hindsight here, I'd probably not use Huggin's effect. I would probably keep my Slumber because I want Slumber's effect. But I draw 3 cards off of my Fountain. Okay, and this is why usually you want to even also change the order of this chain. So usually you want to chain 1 Fountain and then chain 2 Huggin so that Huggin chain blocks Fountain. But I didn't care because I've called by. Okay, so I was trying to bait out the Ash here because I have a response for Ash. That's how you bait out a response. You have it. You have something for it. He's gone. And I get all the draws. So I get draw 3, plus I get my Fountain to draw 4 right there. And then I'm going to be able to go into my big plays. So this is the actual plays that I'm able to do. Gigantic comes out. On Gigantic effect, I'm able to summon Cap Shell. Like I said, I go Hyperia, and then if I don't have Hyperia, it's Cap Shell. So go ahead, summon Sprite Blue. Sprite Blue will activate effect, because I haven't even used my Sprite engine yet. And then these will link off because I want to use Cap Shell to draw another card. Sprite Elf will resummon. It doesn't matter who, but if you want to go into specifics, I would summon a dark monster so that you can XYZ into your Djinn Buster, but that's just my preference. So I get to draw a card. The card I top deck is Max C, which is absolutely busted. And then check this out. So add Unjet effect, because I still haven't finished this yet. I get a Sprite Smasher. I set Sprite Smasher, and then I'll activate to get Masquerena. So usually this is your full end board, but if I wanted to, I could use Elf to resummon another monster, and then I can go into my engine again with Fountain and get another draw 3. But I like having a Spell Destruction. So what I have in my hand right now is a Spell Destruction, 1 Negation, 1 Summon, 2 Summon, 2 Spell Negations, Omni Banish, like a non-targeting banish, and then I get a draw 3 on my next Fountain use. So, and I know I'm gonna get a draw 3 because I have Max C. So the Dark Ruler no mores me, so all my monster effects are gone. But I still have Max C and I still have my Runick cards. So yet again, another reason why Sprite is not as good as Spright Runick, because I wouldn't have any responses if I didn't have the Runick deck here. So first we Max C, and I think this is just it. I think he just surrenders off of that. So that's just another setup game if you guys are looking for how to set up your end board, how it's supposed to look. Yeah, a couple of L's. I mean, feels bad, but honestly it was okay because I just got back-to-back wins after. I'd say I got about a 70 or 80% win rate, even against myself, which I would say is pretty good. So anyways, we're going back into it. Another Sprite game. I think this one's Sprite Evil Twins, and they had Artifact Scythe, and I had no choice but to pop it on accident because I was just trying to choose a different card, and I accidentally popped it because he didn't even let me know. Like, it was just like he said it and I was trying to pop the right card, but I sadly chose wrong. So anyways, I go first. I don't have any of my Sprite cards, but it's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and activate this, get rid of another Runick card so that I'm able to get my draw 3 off. Sadly, he has Imperm, which is one of those cards that I want like Crossout Designator in my hand. Like, that's why I generated that card, because that card's absolutely busted for situations like this. But I can't really do anything to this, so I go ahead and I tip to get my Fountain. And if I don't get Fountain here, then I'm really like royally fucked. So I called by on his Ash so that I can still get my Fountain. Get Fountain out. And the only reason that we really care about Fountain this much is because we have Max C. So on this phase, he has 3 cards. Remember, he's Imperm. Go ahead. He summons, so I'm playing myself. I instantly Max C. I don't think he cares because he thinks I'm pure Sprite. He thinks I'm pure Runick at this point because I haven't had any Sprite cards. But I have Wind Up Kitten in hand now, so that's nice. I really need more than 1 card though, so he doesn't want to play through Max C. He just summons 1 monster and then passes. I don't know what this card is. I wonder if it's Imperm. We'll see. So I go ahead. I summon my Wind Up Kitten. In hindsight, maybe it would have been better to activate Runick Destruction, and then I would have been able to destroy that card. But the reason that we're keeping Runick Destruction here is because first off, 1, he has a spell trap negation, and then 2, this card can target 1 card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So on Wind Up Kitten, I activated the effect so that I can send his spell trap negation away so that I can activate Runick Destruction, okay? Because otherwise, my Runick Destruction would have gotten negated. But he has an Imperm, so my Runick Destruction is going to get negated regardless. So I chain Destruction, hoping that 1, I'll be able to banish 4 cards, and then 2, he'll negate me so that I can get my draw off of Fountain. So right now, I think he's just pure Sprite, and then he had like Evil Twins or something. So he didn't want me to banish anything. Like, it was not going to be one of those games. He wanted to negate this, so on the negation, I'm going to still get my Fountain draw. So I get to draw 1, 2, 3. He has a DD Crow, so that gets rid of 1 of my draws. He gets rid of Tip. So now I only get to draw 2. And in this position, I'm pretty much relying solely on the Runick cards to summon level 2 so that I can go into my engine. So summon a Hugin activate effect, and the reason we're doing this and getting rid of another Runick card is because 1, we've already used this card, and 2, because Fountain will be able to redo its effect if we use a different Fountain. So we're gonna activate, get Sprite. This card will let us get our Hyperia. Hyperia is a draw 1. We add another Freezing Curses. So this is just another draw card to me. We activate Fountain. Fountain will be able to banish, and because of that, we have another 3 Runick cards in our graveyard. we'll be able to draw another 3 cards. So check that out. We went from having 1 card in our hand to this, okay? So now we have a Max C for next turn, we have a Slumber, and we have a Dispelling. So we go ahead and use Dispelling, summon Huggin. So instead of Huggin, I would personally summon Geary, but I don't think I can because of Gigantic. So I summoned Huggin here so that I can just keep going on my engine, but he gives up. So I would have used Huggin and Hyperia to summon Elf. Elf would have activated effect, resummon another card, and then we would have kept going. So that's that game. And then we also had a Max C for next turn. So that was that game. What game was that? I think that was this. I didn't even get to see the evil twins in this. That really sucks for him. Alright, so this is a Spright Runick. Alright. This deck is kind of confusing if you don't know how to play it. So it's nice that I had a little bit of time to practice it. I know it's a scummy deck to play, but honestly, it's so fun. So he has Max C. I Ash that Max C. Like I said, Max C can really win the game against me because you summon a lot of monsters. So we negate Max C. We special summon Blue. Blue will add Jet. Jet will special summon. Adding our starter. We're going to use these 2 to XYZ. Note that I did not use Cap Shell. Cap Shell is going to be used for the Link monster, okay? Or for tributing, because of this card. It says if it's detached from an XYZ to activate that monster's effect, but this card doesn't detach to activate. It detaches as the effect. So kind of confusing, but just keep in mind, don't use Cap Shell for the XYZ. Okay, so we use Gigantic to summon our Hyperia. As always, Hyperia will be able to draw 1, and once I see that I have 3 Runick cards, I go ahead and I Huggin. Huggin is going to be able to send our one of our cards, so I'm going to choose the Freezing Curses. Freezing Curses is going to allow me to get Fountain, and then we'll be able to use Tip, and then once we activate Tip to get Slumber, we'll be able to get another draw 3. So go ahead and draw 3. You guys, have you seen how many cards I've drawn in one turn? This is absurd. So on that draw, have we used our normal yeah, we used our normal summon, but we have Ash and we have our starter. So we use Cap Shell and we use Cap Shell and we use Huggin. So Cap Shell will draw a card, and then I'll be able to resummon Cap Shell. So next turn I'll be able to draw a card. And then we use these 2 to get our Elf, or sorry, our Masquerina. And then last but not least, we use this because we looked in his graveyard and he has 2 Max Cs, so that doesn't tell us much, but we assume Spell Trap. All right, so in my opinion, I look at my hand and I see I have a monster. I have a lot of stuff for monsters. So this is a monster response. This is a monster response. This is usually a monster response. So I decided to get like a negation for if they try to destroy all my cards. So that's why I usually go into Carrot, because it just stops at any spell or any spell or trap destruction cards. And then I end my turn. Both of these cards don't need to be set because of Fountain. So what are we working with here? We have a negate 1. This is going to be a draw 1. This is going to be a summon. This is going to be another summon. This is going to be a negation, another summon, a draw, and then 2 destructions. So, and then we have Max C. So like, what in the world are you going to do? He Lava Golem, so that's a good start. He Lava Golem's Elf and Masquerina, so both of our big monsters are kind of gone, but we still have a spell trap negation. So he goes for Runick Dispelling. This is going to summon a monster, and I saw that since he was going to summon, I knew what he was going to do. He's going to try to get his field spells, so I have Ash for that. I Max C so that I can get a draw off, and then he chains starter. So on starter, because I want to use Ash for his field, like to stop him from getting the field spell, because that card makes him discard a card first. So there's going to be an advantage to letting him get the monster out. Versus starter, I just want to negate so that he can't get that monster out, so he can't start the engine. So I discard Cap Shell. And keep in mind here, you can use Cap Shell's effect, but if he's going, I'll show you. So right now I negate, And then I max C so that I can add a card from the dispelling. Okay, so we get our starter. That's great. Right now, on effect, I would be able to use Cap Shell because you tributed this card. So you'd be able to add this card, or draw a card. But I didn't want to do that because then Ash wouldn't be able to activate because Ash wouldn't have been chained right after Huggin. So keep that in mind. If you want to negate something, you can't use Cap Shell. But if you don't have anything to negate, you can use Cap Shell when you tribute with Carrot or Red. All right, so that's really useful to know. I ashed, so I didn't use Cap Shell, but you could. I ashed it so that he only has one card in hand. And look what I have. I have a normal summon. Well, you can't look now, but I had a normal summon that would have sent a card back to his field. And then I also had my starters. So that game was giga over. Then Branded Fusion finally, for once, a different deck. This is when I was getting like really like, all these games are super sweaty. I mean, some of them I might have like, I legitimately lost the games up here. All of those losses down there were some of them I just had to leave. But I think every game after this is like, this is kind of where it gets crazy. So, oh no, wait, this is actually so funny. This is where it's terrible. It just feels bad for him. He sets one, passes. So check this out. I'm bricked, kind of. I mean, I have 2 Runick cards, so not really. And I have 2 Sprites. So not great, but I get to summon. And check this out. This is so absurd. Bricked with 2 called bys. Okay, he ashes, so that stops my fountain search. And this is my only, these are my only ways to get fountain. So I need to stop this. I call by it. And I'm thinking I have no other way to like play pretty much, because all I have is Sprite after this, and I only have 1 Sprite card. So he crossouts me because he wants to stop me from getting my field spell. And then I have my second called by ready, and this just feels bad, man. So after this game, yeah. So right here it was just like feels bad. That's the current power of branded fusion, but these last 3 games, I remember they were all Sprite. They were all Spright Runick. They were all Sprite or Spright Runick, so it was all sweaty games. Okay. We go second. We have Ash, Crossout, and Fountain. So this is actually a really bad hand besides for our 2 starters. But still, there's no hand that's a complete brick. Oh, we play Mathmech. We Ash, the Sigma. So this is a 2-for-1 cost, so I love ashing that. He still has his Mathmech Sigma, so he could still summon it, but he decided to wait because he doesn't want to just summon a body without any plays. So I get Tip, which is a cracked top deck. I activate Fountain probably. No, I don't. I do, I summon Red because it's a monster negation, and then I special summon Blue so that I can get the effect. I add Jet, activate effect, get starter. So Gigantic. The Ghost Ogre is my Gigantic. And that's really annoying because that'll completely negate Gigantic because you need to detach material from this card to activate the effect, and you didn't detach anything. So I don't have a response to this. I activate my Fountain, and this is where it becomes kind of like, alright, I need to rely on the power of both parts of this deck. So I special summon a Carrot. This card is a spell trap negation. This card's a monster negation, so now whatever responses he has, I hopefully have something for. I go ahead and I add a Slumber, and Slumber will be able to activate. So I Slumber, special summon Huggin, and I could get rid of Crossout Designator, but it's going to be such a good card. So I decide to just draw 2 cards from my Fountain and pray that I top deck something that I can summon. And if he has Ash right now, that's what the Crossout's for, so that's why I saved it in hand. I get to draw 2. I don't get any cards to draw with, so I go into Elf. Elf will resummon Red from the graveyard. And then I just set my 2 negations, and my Ash is still in my hand. So even though I got Ghost Ogred, I still have my 2 negations. So I have a Monster negation, a Spell Trap negation, 1 summon, an Omni negate, and Called by, and then 1 Ash. So no fountain cards, but still some play to do. This is all pure Sprite right now. Playing against Mathmech, so he goes ahead. He has a Lightning Storm. This is why we get both the monster and the Spell Trap negation out. So I activate Carrot, and then on the same effect, on chain, I resummon red. So now I still have my monster negate, even though it left the board. And then, yeah, he has nothing. Oh, just kidding. He has another Spell Trap negate. So I just used Called By because I don't want him to summon this body after, sorry. I don't want him to summon that after my entire board is cleared. So I Called By that, and I keep only Sprite Elf because Elf will be able to resummon like blue, for example. He sets a card, and then he passes his turn. So I draw into Flashing Fire. That's not going to be super useful right now because I already have a monster in the extra zone. He has an Imperm. Imperm is going to stop me from resummoning my blue, but now he has 0 cards and I have an Ash. I should have set this Runick Flashing Fires, but it's not going to be important. You'll see. So he summons, and because he summons, I get to activate my Sprite Blue. Sprite Blue will come back to the board, and then this is his only monster. Like if you look at his graveyard, he's gone through everything. So now we add a Jet, and next turn, if he destroys Elf, we'll be able to resummon Elf. So I would have been able to use Flashing Fires if I had set it, but as you saw, it was not really a big deal. And then Exo Sister, yes. So these last 3 games were heated. I remember them. They were all like, I don't know. They were all not. I think they were all not Sprite. Actually, I kind of lied, but I think they were all like pretty sweaty. You needed to do something, otherwise you'd lose. So this is once again not a great hand going first, but we still have Max C, which is good. We activate our fountain. We'll go ahead and use Freezing Curses. We got another fountain. So what we want to do here is try to get our Sprite cards if we can. We discard our Freezing Curses. If I didn't have Called By, I would not do this play. But since I have Called By, I can negate a monster effect if he does it, but he doesn't. So I get a draw 2. And then on draw 2, I get my 1 card. This is 1 card, remember that. So this is off of 1 card. And then I get my Runick Fountain. Alright, so summon blue, activate Jet, get starter, activate starter, and then we search for our Spell Trap negation. Summon Gigantic, gets Ghost Ogred again. This is not the first time we got Ghost Ogred. Last game we got Ghost Ogred, but this time look at how beautiful our hand is. So we Called By the Ghost Ogre. Stop that effect. We summon Hyperia. Hyperia activate. We get another Max C, so that's kind of busted. Sprite Elf will activate effect, resummon Hyperia, so that we can go into Masquerena. And now we have a Spell Trap negate. We have 1 summon. We have 2 summons. And then we have our Maxi and Ash. So our fountain will be able to be used soon. Very soon we'll be able to use fountain. So he goes into his Exo Sister. He summons Maxi instantly. He Calls By. And then look at this play. So this is one last play that I think I did that was kind of different. So he's trying to summon. So I Maxi. He uses Called By to stop my Maxi. I use Sprite Elf to summon Maxi from the graveyard so that he can't Call By my Maxi. How busted is that, guys? That's so incredible. And now Maxi on the board means that Carrot has a target to negate. Alright? So he tries to summon another monster before Maxi activates, but I Ash that. And then I summon Maxi, so that negates. He summons a body. I get a Smashers, so that's okay. But I know that their big body is getting a level, like getting one XYZ force, so I need to get rid of one of these monsters ASAP. He uses this so that he can summon a different monster, but I negate that spell with Carrot using Max C. And then he uses his own Max C so that, I don't know why he didn't use Max C before, but he uses it so that he can get a draw off of Masquerena. So I use Carrot and Masquerina because both of their effects have already been used this turn. And I summon Nightmare Unicorn. He gets a card. I discard one card. I get rid of Fountain because I already have a Fountain. And he resummons still. So now he has a Mikhail. That card lets him banish. So now both of my Fountains are kind of out of play. And that also lets him summon another card. Oh no, sorry, add a card. So he then goes into battle and he destroys my IP. And I'm really glad that he destroyed IP because... sorry, not my IP, my Nightmare Unicorn. Because now I can use Spright Elf to resummon a level 2. And in my graveyard, do I have any level 2s? Yeah, I have a Spright Elf. And a Spright Blue. So, good luck. Let's see what you have. So he has a spell. I know he has a monster negate. He has some sort of response. But on this, I Ash, so get to use my second Ash up. And that lets me resummon Spright Blue. Go ahead, use Spright Jet. And then I drew into Smashers from Max C. So I was going to use Smashers to banish Spright Blue. And then banish his monster on the field. And then once he banished either of these monsters, it didn't matter. I'd be able to special summon Jet. Jet would have added my spell. And then I would have been able to summon another monster, go into Gigantic. And then I would have had Max C for next turn. So I had the full combo ready. Last game, final game against Pure Runick. Okay, so I've been talking about why Pure Sprite is better. But is Pure Runick better? Personally, I think Pure Runick just doesn't have enough. It doesn't have enough gas to stop monsters that are made to stop spells. So, like, the whole Sprite archetype is like negations. So these cards are the things that they usually have to deal with, and then the Runick cards are what stops. Like, that's what you use to win the game. So they are distracted on the wrong part of the game most of the time. Because the Runick cards, like, your win condition is still to deck them out. So you just have monsters on the field now, so that it's harder for them to just beat into you. So that's the last little snippet of how to play this game. I special summoned Carrot, and it's kind of a feels bad that I have to use both of these cards because neither of them have effects on summon. I discard my Carrot because I know I want to resummon him later, and then I use Gigantic Sprite to start my Sprite engine. So Blue and Jet will get starter, and then we'll be able to activate that, get our Elf. Elf will summon our monster or spell trap negation again, so that's what we were always going for. And then we get starter, so we go from our spell trap negation to our monster negation, and then we use Tip. Tip will add a slumber. We get to see who he is. We see it's Runick, so then we go slumber. We get to banish the top of their deck, and then we get our draw 2. Draw 2 cards. We get Ash and Max C and another Fountain, so that's pretty good. And then now we have our spell trap negation because I saw that they're Runick, and I will resummon Spright Red if I need it, but I don't think I'll need it. So see what he does. He goes for Tip, and I'm thinking if he has Tip and he's not already using Fountain, then he probably doesn't have Fountain in hand. So I Ash that, and then I use this to resummon like any level 2 so that I can I probably choose the monster negate. Yeah, so I choose a monster negate because I want to be able to stop Huggin if he gets Huggin on the board. And then uses this card so that he can banish. That's fine. That's completely fine, honestly. Now he doesn't have any way to get to Fountain, so I just have to clear his board. I misplayed by not using Masquerina last turn, but honestly, I don't think it's that bad because Masquerina is going to be useful right now. So he summons a Moonin, and he goes there can only be one. And since he uses there can only be one, I use Spright Carrot to negate because I don't want him to use any floodgates. Really, floodgates are kind of the big problem. And once he saw that I negated their floodgate, I was able to summon. First off, I was able to summon with freezing curses, and second off, Masquerina would have been able to summon another monster from my extra deck using Carrot as material. So I would have been able to go back into my Spright Elf, and then I would have been able to summon from the graveyard my Spright Blue, and then go back into my engine. So that's why this deck is absolutely broken. It's just summoning and then resummoning, and then all of them have negations. So as you can see, we're currently in Diamond 1. pretty hard to get there, but I'm really happy that we got it. Sorry guys, I'm sorry for those of you who were expecting me to do it with Labrynth. I'll be putting some Labrynth videos out soon. Hopefully I'll be able to get a win streak going while I'm still in Diamond 1, and then I'll be able to post something about that on the Meta Duel Weekly. So I'm gonna probably go ahead and try to grind a little bit of Labrynth games, and then I'll come back. But yeah, I have a couple of replays already saved for you guys, so don't fear, there's still Labrynth stuff coming. That's still the main deck. I just wanted to use this deck while it was still busted. They're gonna nerf it soon, so don't worry everyone who's worried. But yeah, that's it for now. Hope everyone enjoyed. I'll post this on YouTube. It'll be posted on the Meta Duel Weekly as well. So yeah, this is Spright Runick. Good luck, have fun, guys.